Seattle will be making the pick, and Tampa will now be at 12. Chris, back to you, New York.
Well, my goodness, they came in the league together, the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, and it's only fitting that they do business together here in the first round. These two teams are the two teams with the 2 first-round picks. Here's the tales of what
with the 6th pick in the first round acquired from the New York Jets, Tampa Bay has traded with Seattle. So Seattle now is on the clock. Tampa Bay acquired Seattle's pick in the first round, which is the 12th selection overall, and Atlanta's pick in the 3rd round, which Seattle had previously acquired, which is the 63rd selection overall. So Seattle is now on the clock.
All right, so let's recap here. Welcome to Trader Vic's. We'll have a pina colada at Trader Vic's, and his hair was perfect. I'm not talking about you, Mel. It's a line from Warren Zevon. Well, this is an involved story with Seattle. Let's talk about Walter Jones first, but then let me give you the background of how a political vote that didn't happen yesterday affected these moves today. All right, but Hank Goldberg, are we ready up there? Is in the Pacific Northwest. Top of the morning to you, Hank. And I guess the fish are swimming upstream, aren't they?
Yes, they are, Chris. Dennis Erickson told me last night that this was his objective, to move into the 6th spot, to take Walter Jones. It fell just the way he wanted with the selection of Springs. You mentioned the legislative situation here, and very quickly it's this. They need 50 votes to get approval for a stadium vote on a referendum. And they haven't gotten those votes, and the election hasn't taken place, but they decided to go about their business as if that situation doesn't exist. The problem is they're looking at $13 million in bonuses and salaries right now, Chris. So that's the situation here. They're feeling pretty good.
Well, they should feel pretty good. We're going to go back to you in a minute, but let's make it official with the commissioner, Hank.
With the 6th pick in the first round, the Seattle Seahawks select Walter Jones, offensive tackle from Florida State.
My goodness.
The New York Giants are now on the clock.
The Seahawks, as Hank said, did exactly what they wanted to do. Let me take 15 seconds and clean this up. If the House does not vote yes to put on the ballot in June to the people of the state of Washington or King County the opportunity to fund a new football stadium, and if that goes on the ballot and it's not funded, Paul Allen on July 1st will either exercise or not exercise his option to buy the team. He has a few shekels. He's already spent some for the Chad Browns, etc. He said if they don't approve the stadium, he's not buying the team. The future of the Seahawks up there is in question pending these moves in the legislature. However, as Hank said, business as usual until they get a no. And you got to like Paul Allen, full steam ahead until somebody stops me. Hey, the Seahawks have to be thrilled with what they've gotten.
Well, the Seahawks gambled when they traded up. They got Springs. Now they get Walter Jones. 2 players in that Elite 6. This is an amazing draft for Dennis Erickson to get 2 of these top 6 players. You see him here at right tackle with the feet and the balance. This is a dominator who's going to get better once his technique improves. Remember, he only played 1 year. Watch him against James Bates. Helmet to helmet, Joe. Watch him. There you go. Now that's domination. You watch him time and time again sustain a block. He never quits. He's a high-intensity player, doesn't take any downs off or plays off. He was responsible for a lot of work done success this past season. Really engulfs a defender. Big man, 295 to 300 pounds. Ran that 4.72 during an individual workout, which was unbelievable.
Well, and he goes right along with Pete Kendall last year. I mean, what Dennis Erickson's starting to do right now is he's starting to put together this very young football team. And he's got veterans backing up. You got John Freese as your quarterback. You got Warren Moon as a backup. Last year, you go get Pete Kendall. Now you get Walter Jones. Personally, I'll tell you what. I think Seattle right now is the odds-on favorite to compete for the AFC Championship. I'll put that out there right now, right out front.
The AFC or the AFC West?
The AFC Championship. I'm
let me write this down.
The whole enchilada.
12:43.
Yep. Write it down.
On draft day.
On draft
First
day.
round.
I think they're putting together the ball club.
Why not?
The defensive moves have been upgrading it with speed. Offensively, they're winding up with a football team that with Joey Galloway, Chris Warren, young Kendall, young Jones, a backup in Warren Moon. You got all the things you need in place to be competitive on both sides of the ball.
So the Seahawks take 2 of the first top 6. Guess who's on the clock? G-Man! 7. The Giants have their turn. We'll be back.
I'm a soft-spoken kind of guy. There's nothing more important to me than a quiet chat with my son, Shaquille. I just marched to the phone and dialed 1-800-COLLECT. The money I saved him, he can use to buy some new backboards. Take it through the hole, Shaquille.
He's gonna
And they wonder where he gets it from.
1-800-COLLECT. Save the people you call up to 44%.
Hey, Dan. What's wrong?
Hey, Grant. Bad show. Hair looked bad, teleprompter went down, made some mistakes on some highlights.
I got something to cheer you up.
Thanks, Grant. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
We thought that the first round of the draft, at least at the top, might take a long time. We were wrong. Well, that's the first time that's ever happened in the 18 years that we've done the draft. We were wrong. Once. So the first 6 players, Mel's top 6, everyone's top 6 has happened. Now, the Giants 7, Jets now 8. Still allows us for the 4th time ever in the common draft at 67 that the 2 New York teams have gone back-to-back. 77, Marvin Powell, Gary Jeter, good picks. 81, outstanding picks with LT and Freeman McNeil. 92, tight ends, Derek Brown and Joni Mitchell. They paved paradise and they put up a parking lot with those picks. All right, now, the Giants. This is 7 through maybe 25 in value. They're not thrilled with this spot. We may have a name that's unusual. Help us out, Chris Mortensen. You got an insight on the Giants' moves?
Well, you know, they were going up to 4 to take Peter Boulware, the Florida State defensive end. Some people would say, why? They had Cedric Jones last year, Michael Strahan. They would have put Boulware up on the weak side, let him play in space and rush the passer. James Ferrier might be an attraction here, but you know what? Jim Fossil needs some weapons. That's why people have been talking about Colorado wide receiver Ray Caruth, Florida wide receiver Rido Anthony, and don't rule out the Cal tight end Tony Gonzalez here either, Chris. Let's go to Sal Palantonio with the Jets.
Thanks, Mort. It looks like Bill Parcells may be done dealing finally. We just talked to the people in the draft room. They say that they'll probably stay at number 8. They'll probably focus on defense. They like linebackers Dwayne Rudd and James Farrier, and that's probably the way they'll go. But you never know. He's trying to accumulate as many picks as possible to get this 1-15 Jets team back on track. Now let's go back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Sal, and while they do that, get rid of some of their higher-priced veterans and give them room under the cap in future years. Well, you know, once a football player, always a football player. Tom Jackson and Sterling Sharp were Pro Bowlers, 2 of the best. And although they have retired from the game, they said, look, if we're coming to New York for the draft, let's play some football. So let's go up to the dapperly dressed duo. And now what are we doing here? Looks like more like a wrestling ring with pylons. Peter Boulware, you going to talk about him?
Yeah. Well,
Hi, guys.
When you begin to assess Peter Boulware, and Chris, if the field was this big, I could have played a lot longer. When you begin to assess Peter Boulware, you first come to the unique combination of speed and power. He's a guy who only weighs 260 pounds, but he plays a lot bigger than that. When you look at this guy come off the corner, he's able to shorten the corner. He doesn't run himself out of the play. He's able to fall back. He doesn't get so far upfield that he can't come back. But look at the right shoulder. He dips. He makes a nice play. Now, I think the thing that you want to do if you're Peter Boulware is you want to be balanced up. And the reason I wanted to show his stance right there is whether he was on on the right end or the left end, he tended to be in that left-handed stance. But those are all things, Sterling, he can work on technique-wise.
And he's a kid that, Tommy, that you can work with, because I've been knowing this kid ever since he was 10, 12 years old. And when I got drafted in 1988, Peter Boulware was the guy who answered the phone. Of course, it was the Green Bay Packers, and I told Pete to go ahead and talk to him. I was waiting for a better offer, but it worked out well for me in Green Bay. But Peter Boulware is very coachable. He's